Well, welcome to Session 5 of Transformed. We're well into this series where we're talking about being transformed. It's based off of the verse in Romans chapter 12, verse 2, where it says that we're not supposed to follow the patterns of this world, but we're to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. Well, how is our mind renewed? Well, our mind is renewed in several ways. One, we have a role to play in that. There's things that we have to put into practice. There's principles that we have to put into practice. And then we have to allow God to do it. God wants to change the way that we think. And if we can change the way that we think, then our life can get better. Life will improve. Our life is never going to be perfect, but it can be good. And that's really what our goal is, that we're after good. Just think about when God created the universe and He created, He spoke the heavens into existence. He said it was good. When He created all the animals, He said it was good. When He created plants and trees, He said it was good. So it's okay to go for good. And that's what we're trying to be here. We're trying to be what God has called us to be. And we've been looking at some different things and some really basic things in life. Week 1, if you remember, we talked about some 7 principles that we need to do to be spiritually healthy. Then we looked at Week 2, we looked at what are some things that we have to do to be physically healthy. Then we looked at ways to be mentally healthy. Last week we looked at some ways to be what it means to be emotionally healthy. Today what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about what it means to be relationally healthy. Now friends, everybody wants friends. Sitcoms. We love sitcoms. We watch sitcoms all the time. And I grew up in the days of MASH. And MASH wasn't about the Korean War. It wasn't about doctors. It was about friends. Cheers. Cheers wasn't about a bar in Boston. Cheers was about friends who were there living their life together. By the time we get to the 90s, it's just called Friends. And it's just simple. Seinfeld. What's Seinfeld? Seinfeld's famously about nothing, but it really was about a group of friends growing through life. And now we've got whatever that show is, Big Bang Theory. It's not about nerds and science and all of that kind of stuff. It's about friends. We all want friends. We all need friends. Hopefully we all have friends. So let's look. Hopefully you got your notes and your book, and we'll dive into this idea of how we can be relationally healthy. Well, there are 2 kinds of friends. The first one is this. We have casual friends that are the result of circumstances. Now we all know what this is like. You've got work friends that you wouldn't be friends with those people if you didn't work with them. You've got school friends. You wouldn't be friends with those people if you didn't go to school with them. We all know what it's like to have casual friends. And here's how you know if a friend is casual. When the circumstances change, you're no longer friends. That was a casual friendship. And so those are very much a part of life. Another thing, though, another kind of friend we have is a close friend. And close friends are the result of choices. And who my close friends are really determines on the choices that I'm making and how I'm choosing to live my life. Here's a verse in Proverbs 27:19 that says this. It says, "A mirror reflects a man's face, but what he is really like is shown by the kinds of friends he chooses." I grew up hearing this from my mom over and over and over. "Marty, if you show me your friends, I'll show you your future." And I've said that 1,000 times to people. I used to say it all the time to teenagers, and now as a lead pastor, I'm saying it to adults. If you show me your friends, I will show you your future. You hanging out with a bunch of people who are not going anywhere in life, you don't have much of a future. You show me your friends and they're dedicated and they're hardworking, then you're going to be a dedicated, hardworking person. You show me you're hanging out with a bunch of people who don't ever laugh and don't ever have any fun, then that's what your life is going to be. You show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Proverbs 12:26 says this, says, "The righteous choose their friends carefully." Absolutely. I think the 3 most important decisions you'll ever make in your life. Number 1, are you going to trust God? Number 2, who do you marry? Number 3, who are your friends? Those are the 3 most important things that you can get over making a bad career decision. You can get over making a bad house decision or a bad car decision. It's incredibly hard and sometimes impossible to get over making a poor friend decision. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to look at 5 kinds of people to avoid as close friends. And so as you're taking notes and as you have your book there, I've highlighted the last 2 words, close friends. So highlight it or put a bracket around it or circle it or underline it and put some exclamation points. What we're talking about here is close friends. We're not talking about just friends in general, and we're not talking about casual friends out of circumstances, okay? We're talking about close friends. Right out in the margin, draw 3 circles. Draw a small circle that you can put a number in it, then draw a circle on the outside of that, and then an outside of that one. So you've got those 3 concentric circles. In the middle, put the number 3, and then in the next circle, put 12, and then in the last circle, you can put EE or a question mark or whatever. The 3 represents in your inner circle in life, you physically, emotionally, and mentally have room for 3 close friends. You can't have 12 close friends. You can't have 15 best friends. It's just not possible. You have room for 3 close personal friends. And if you want to add a 4th person into that inner circle, that means one of the other 3 has to leave. You only have got room for 3. The next circle is a group of friends that are going to have a pretty significant impact on your life as well. You may not classify them as your best friends, but they're really good friends, and you've got room for about 12 of those. And then everybody else is in the outside circle. Now that is a scientific thing I guess science has proven that, psychology has proven that whole 3-12 thing. Now I find it interesting, and you should find it interesting, that Jesus had 3 close friends, and Peter, James, and John. He had 12 friends that he spent most of his time with, and then there was everybody else. That's the way God's designed us. So this is what this is about. 5 kinds of people to avoid, okay? To avoid as close friends. The first one is lazy people. Don't have anything to do with lazy people. 2 Thessalonians 3:6 says this, "Our friends, we command you in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ to keep away from all believers who are living a lazy life." You don't need a lazy friend, because if you have a lazy friend, you're going to have to do all his work. So don't have lazy friends. Stay away from them. Second kind of person to stay away from as a close friend, angry people. You don't want an angry friend. Don't make friends with people who have hot, violent tempers. You might learn their habits and not be able to change. That's from Proverbs 22. Verses 24 through 25. So stay away from lazy people. Stay away from angry people. Stay away from hotheads. You don't have time for that. Again, we're talking about close friends. You'll stay away. Third, stay away from immoral people. Immoral people. That's really when it comes in. You show me your friends, I'll show you your future. 1 Corinthians 5:9 through 11. I told you not to associate with immoral people. Now, I did not mean unbelievers who are immoral or greedy or thieves or who worship idols. To avoid them, you'd have to get out of the world completely. What I meant was that you should not associate with a person who calls himself a believer, but is immoral or greedy or worship idols or is a slanderer or is a drunkard or a thief. Don't even sit down to eat with such people. If I'm looking for people to be in those 1 or 2 circles, in my circle of 3 or my circle of 12, an immoral person doesn't have any place being there. The next one is greedy people. Stay away from greedy people. For no other reason that if you have a greedy friend, you're going to be the one who always buying the lunch. So that reason enough right there is to stay away from greedy people. This is what Proverbs 23:6-7 says. "Do not eat the food of a stingy man, for he is the kind of man who is always thinking about the cost. Eat and drink, he says to you, but his heart is not with you." So we're going to stay away from lazy people, angry people, immoral people, greedy people. You may be thinking, Marty, this list of friends is getting really, really small. Like, what is even the choices that are left? Well, there's one more, unbelieving people. 2 Corinthians 6:14, don't team up with those who are unbelievers. Or maybe you've heard it, or maybe you've memorized it some other time, is don't be unequally yoked. Don't team up with people and those who are unbelievers, which is incredibly important, by the way. If you're a parent, you've got children, you've got teenagers, the friendship thing is such a big deal. So here, 5 people to stay away from as close friends. Remember that, close friends. Hope you highlighted that, circled that. Lazy people, angry, immoral, greedy, or unbelieving. So choose close friends who? So who am I looking for to be in that group of 3 or 12 for close friends? The person I'm going to call at 2 o'clock in the morning when I really need them. Or if you remember last week when we talked about the emotional part, and we talked about if I'm going to be healthy emotionally, then I've got to release things. I've got to reveal things. I need to find that one person that I can talk to. That one person needs to come from this list. It needs to be these kinds of people. So choose friends who do this. Number 1, challenge you mentally, or challenge me mentally. Proverbs 30:20, he who walks with the wise grows wise. So people who are going to challenge you mentally, people who are going to help you be smarter, who are going to help you be more intelligent. This is who you're looking for. I never want to be the smartest person in the room. It's not a good place to be. You want to always try to surround yourself with people who are smarter than you, and they're going to challenge you mentally. Proverbs 27:17, as iron sharpens iron, so man sharpens another. So I need an intelligent, someone who challenges me mentally. Then I want somebody who's going to support me emotionally. A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. That's Proverbs 17:17. Galatians 6:2 says this, bear one another's burdens. I want somebody who's going to be in my close circle of friends, who's going to help me emotionally. Because remember, my emotions, your emotions, they're real, they're there, but they can't be trusted. And I need somebody to help me walk through those times when I'm thinking and I'm feeling things that I shouldn't be. I need a friend to help me. So I need somebody that's going to support me emotionally. So it's going to push me mentally, it's going to support me emotionally, and then third, who's going to strengthen me spiritually. 1 Thessalonians 5:11, encourage one another and build each other up. Hebrews 10:24, spur one another towards love and good deeds. When you're looking for a close friend, when you're looking for a close group of friends, here's one of the things you need to be looking for. Maybe the most important thing you need to be looking for. Is this person going to help me be more like Jesus? Is this person going to help me be more like Jesus? Or ask it this way, is this person going to pull me closer to Jesus or push me further away from Jesus? You do not need any help getting further away from Jesus. You can get there all by yourself. So the people that you have in your life, you need to really make sure are pulling you in towards Jesus. And the best way to find these kinds of friends, the best way to find these kinds of people is to be these kinds of friends. So be as smart as you can be as emotionally healthy as you can be, and be as Christian and as spiritual as you can be, which the whole transform thing is about. So how do I build healthy friendships? We've looked at 5 kinds of people to avoid, and we've looked at looking for the way we choose friends that are going to help us. So how do I do that? What are some practical things that I can do to help build healthy friendships? Now, before I go over this, let me say this. Most adults I know don't have any close friends. And if you are an adult and you have a close friend, then you are very, very fortunate. I find this to be very true among successful businessmen. Successful men. Guys, we are really good at, having the wife and the kids and the house and the career. And that takes an awful lot of work and an awful lot of sacrifice to get those things in order. And the thing that almost always suffers is friendship. And so I meet a lot of people who have money in the bank and have a family and have a job, but they don't have any friends. So we need to work on this. This is important. Our church, we have our mission, help people live the truth of Jesus in everyday life. 3 main strategies. We want to help you walk with God. We want you to add value, and we want you to make friends. And so, let me say this before we go through this build healthy friendships, because this is another thing that's really important, especially in Las Vegas. Most people move to Las Vegas with no intention of staying in Las Vegas. And so when you move to Las Vegas, this is your mentality. I'm only going to be here for a year or 2 or 3. so I'm not going to invest. I'm not going to put down roots. I'm not going to make any friends. It's a terrible mistake. You should always live where you live. Live where you live. So put everything you can into making relationships, regardless of what the circumstances are. So how to build healthy friendship. Number 1, get interested in other people. Be interested in other people. In other words, ask lots of questions. Ask people questions. Ask what makes them, ask them about their life. Ask them about their kids. Ask them about their story. It's one of the great things you can do in Las Vegas because nobody's from here. You can always ask where they're from, where they grew up, all of those kinds of things. But be interested in other people. Proverbs 18:1. Unfriendly people care only about themselves. Okay? So don't be that person. And if you're looking for friendships and you're looking for a friend and you're going, you know what I want more than I just need a friend, don't do that. You need to be a friend because of what you're going to receive, but also what you're able to give. Philippians 2:4 says, let each of you look out not only for his own interest, but also the interest of others. Number 2, on how to build a healthy friendship. Don't be a chronic complainer. Now, circle the word chronic because that's an important word. We all complain about something sometimes, okay? You just don't want to be the person who's always complaining about everything, okay? Don't be a chronic complainer. If you are a chronic complainer, in other words, nothing's ever right, you never feel good, something's always wrong. There are some people that I know that if the rule for the conversation for the evening is you can't talk about negative stuff, they would have absolutely nothing to say. Don't be a chronic complainer. Healthy people avoid chronic complainers like the plague. Don't be that person. Philippians 2:14, do everything without complaining and arguing so that no one can criticize you. Lead clean and innocent lives as children of God, shining bright lights in a world full of crooked and perverse people. So, you got to be interested in other people. You can't be a chronic complainer. Third is be a listener. Learn to listen. Don't do all the talking. Be quick to listen and slow to speak is what James says. It's really important that we learn how to listen. Be a good listener, which means you got to ask questions, got to hear their story. Number 4, accept people unconditionally. Don't try to fix people. Just accept them for who they are. Romans 15:17, accept one another just as Christ has accepted you. Now, that doesn't mean you allow them to stay where they're at. We don't want to stay broken. We want to help each other. But we got to accept people unconditionally. A lot of times people don't have any friends because they're looking for the perfect friend. There's no such thing as a perfect. My best friend in life doesn't eat Mexican food, which is a sin. I love Mexican food. I can eat Mexican food every day. And when we hang out and we go together and we can be in a city and there can be all these great, amazing, great Tex-Mex, which is my favorite, and I don't ever get to eat because my friend Danny doesn't like Mexican food. There is no such thing as a perfect friend. So don't be trying to find that perfect friend. Number 5, you got to help people feel significant. You want to add some friends in your life? You start helping people feel significant. You start helping people feel good. I've mentioned this over and over and over. I hope you get it. 3 strategies. Walk with God, add value, help people make friends. We're talking about friends this whole session. Add value. One of the ways that you add value to people is you make them feel significant. I love this. I've used it many times. Love this. If you talk about other people, you're a gossip. If you talk about yourself, you're a bore. If you talk about the person you're talking to, you're a brilliant conversationalist. Make people feel significant. It'll help your friendships greatly. So number 6, be sympathetic. Be sympathetic. Rejoice with those who rejoice and weep with those who weep. Be sympathetic. That is something that we have to do. And if I'm going to be honest with you, if I was making this list of 8, I'd have left that one off because I am not very sympathetic. When somebody's a chronic complainer and I'm around them and they start complaining, I just want to tell them to be quiet and move on. It's hard for me to be sympathetic, but that's one of the things that a good friend does. A good friend is a sympathetic person. 7, stick with them in tough times. You know this. You know these cliches are cliches, and they're cliches for a reason, because they're true. Your true friend is walking in when everybody else is walking out. That's a true friend. So stick with them in tough times. Proverbs 18:24, there are friends who pretend to be friends, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. Ecclesiastes 4:9, 2 are better than one, because if one falls down, his friend can help him up. But pity the man who falls and has no one to help him up. Pity the man who falls and has no one to help him up. Stick with them in tough times. 8, what is this? Share Christ with them. Go back home and tell everyone how much God has done for you. Man then went all over town telling everyone that Jesus had done for him. And that's from Luke chapter 8, verse 39. So here are these 8 things to do to how to build a healthy relationship. Be interested in other people. Don't be a chronic complainer. Be a listener. Accept people unconditionally. Help people feel significant. Be sympathetic. Stick with them in tough times, and share Christ. Now here's what I want you to do in your small group time. In your small group time, I want you to talk about these 8 things. And I'd like for you to at least ask this question. I would like for everybody in the group to share, that's willing to, which one of these 8 things did you think that you're really good at? Like when it comes to being a friend, you know, like this one right here, being sympathetic. I am like really, really good at being sympathetic, or I'm really there in the tough times. Share the one you struggle with, and then share the one that the one that you struggle with, and share the one that you're good at. And just let that kind of start your conversation. Then your leader can lead you in some of the other key questions and discovery questions as you go about this. So what I encourage you again, as this next week of week 5, of hang in there, do those devotionals. I promise you the effort's worth it. Keep doing those devotionals and asking those questions, and make that commitment to be at church Sunday as we move into week 6. So I am excited again that you've chosen to do this, and let's help each other live the truth of Jesus in everyday life.